Okay, I'm here in Viva Las Vegas with David Greschler from Microsoft. David, how are you doing?
Hey, doing well. How about you?
All right, so you just got finished talking about Microsoft and what you all are doing in the cloud. Can you tell me first what group you're in, and then for a high level, what is Microsoft doing in the cloud?
Sure. So I'm David Greschler. I work in the System Center group, the management group at Microsoft, and I work on virtualization strategy. So what are we doing with the cloud? Well, that's a good question. What we see is that there's really the emergence with virtualization of the ability now for people to really treat IT like a service. So, before virtualization, of course, you really tied specific workloads to specific devices. What virtualization has allowed us to do is make it so that you can think, instead of just, one box per workload, think of your boxes, the connection of all the boxes as a pool of resources. And that's really the beginning of the concept of IT as a service, where things are available on demand, they can scale out, they're elastic, they can scale back in. And so you've got much more agility, much more flexibility, and hopefully also a lot more cost savings. So what we see happening now is as people have continued to virtualize, they're beginning to really think about what this means and look at different ways that they can capture this agility and responsiveness and make it so that maybe it's not just only inside their data center, but that they could also extend out to hosters who would also have the same technology, Hyper-V, System Center, and be able to move workloads between their own data centers and then when they have needs for scaling out, to other data centers, hosted data centers. So what we've developed is the Dynamic Data Center Toolkit, which is a tool that overlays on top of Hyper-V, our hypervisor, and System Center, our management tool, to allow you to look within your own data center and think of it more as a pool of computing power. And that's really a step towards what we call the private cloud. But also, we've built this tool so that hosters can have it as well, and can create this public cloud and gives customers the ability to move their workloads between their private and their public cloud.
And this dynamic toolkit, I think you mentioned in your talk, is available first half of 2010, is that correct?
So for hosters, it's available already.
Okay, great.
And for the enterprise customers, yes, first part of 2010.
And then one of the slides you put up, which was quite a intricate slide, was you had a sort of a 2x3 matrix of SaaS, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, and private and public cloud. And you showed all the different places where Microsoft's offerings will play in it.
Yes.
Are there any of those key, other than the ones you mentioned, any other ones that you'd like to call out there?
That's a good point. So there is, I've talked now about sort of this virtualized data center, this private cloud, right, where that lives within your own environment, this public hosted cloud where it's the same technology virtualized on hosters. But there's another technology and another cloud we offer, which is Windows Azure. And that's really the idea of a large scale, scale out cloud where you would build applications, right, designed for that and have it hosted on this environment. And what this allows you is, because we have over 21 data centers around the world, the ability to really have a highly scalable offering, a workload that can be accessed from anywhere. Now, people say, okay, that's great, but we already have some workloads that we've developed that we'd like to move into that level of scale. So what we have announced is the ability that people will have to be able to take workloads that are virtualized and move them into Azure over time. And so that matrix we talked about really was about the fact that what we believe as people start thinking about IT as a service is that they're going to have different types of workloads and different types of requirements. And it's not all going to be in one overnight. And so what we've built is choice at Microsoft. We've built the ability for you to have, treat IT as a service within your data center, to be able to scale it out to hosted data centers, and to even take it further and go to Windows Azure, where we've got this large-scale cloud, public cloud, as we call it.
Cool. And then the last thing I wanted to ask you about was in your presentation, I noticed you had an app-centric focus, and you talked about that. Can you talk a little bit more about that, how that plays in the cloud and in virtualization?
Sure. Well, virtualization in many ways has been very popular, but it's got us focused on the plumbing, the infrastructure. And at the end of the day, sometimes I think we all forget that what people care about are the applications. What's running on top of that? With the water flowing through the plumbing, what's running on top of this infrastructure? And at Microsoft, we really put a lot of focus on giving you knowledge at the app level. And so System Center, for instance, is all about not just telling you what's happening at the VM, but really what's going on inside. And that becomes very important because as you want to create a more dynamic environment, a more balanced environment, what you want to know is how's your workload scaling out? And if one is really scaling out, can you move it to another device? But to do that, you need to know about those workloads. So that's one key area that we've really put a lot of investment in. The other is, we've done a technical preview, is a technology that we've had on the desktop called AppV, App Virtualization. We're now applying that to the server. And that's going to change a lot of things because what that means is that you'll be able to encapsulate applications and move them from one server to another, one operating system to another, without actually having to install them. And so imagine what that will lead to because, in that case, you're no longer going to have thousands and thousands of virtualized images that you have to manage and monitor. You'll really actually only have some very few golden images of these virtual machines, and what you'll be able to do is easily just place this app, this virtualized server workload, right into the operating system, have it run, and when you're done, take it out. So stay tuned on that one, but there's a real opportunity for greater agility and easier management, sort of image-based management coming along.
Excellent. David Greschler, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.